It was a busy afternoon at Eastgate International Airport. People rushed from one terminal to another, dragging bags, holding coffee cups, and checking flight screens. The air was filled with announcements and quiet conversations. Among the crowd, a tall black woman in her early 30s walked calmly through the airport. She wore simple jeans, a black jacket, and a crossbody bag. Her hair was neatly tied back, and she carried a laptop case in one hand. She didn't look nervous, she didn't look lost, but one man was watching her very closely. Officer Ryan, a white security officer in his late 30s, stood near the gate area. He noticed the woman as soon as she walked through the security checkpoint. Something about her made him uncomfortable. Maybe it was the way she walked, confident, quiet, not looking around like most passengers, or maybe it was just her skin color. Ryan whispered into his radio. Possible subject, African-American female, early 30s, walking toward gate 12. I'll approach her now. He left his station and began walking toward her. The confrontation. The woman had just stopped at a coffee kiosk when Ryan stepped in front of her. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said, blocking her path. She looked up, surprised but calm. "Yes? I need to ask you a few questions." "Why?" "We've had some alerts today." "You looked like someone we're watching." She raised an eyebrow. "Do you have my name? A description?" "No," he said quickly. "But your behavior seems unusual." "Unusual how?" Ryan looked uncomfortable. People nearby started noticing the conversation. "You walked straight through without stopping. You haven't made eye contact with anyone. You haven't smiled." She almost smiled at that. "Sir, I'm traveling alone. I came here to fly, not to perform." "Ma'am, please don't get defensive." "Defensive?" she repeated. "You stopped me without reason. You didn't ask for my name. You didn't even check the passenger list." By now, a small group of travelers had slowed down, pretending to check their phones, but clearly watching. Ryan's voice grew louder. "I need to check your bag." "No, you don't. Are you refusing to cooperate?" She took a slow breath. Her eyes were sharp now, alert, strong. "Are you detaining me?" "I'm asking you to come with me for a quick search." "What am I being suspected of?" "I said you looked suspicious." There was a long silence. Then she calmly placed her coffee on the ground. She reached into her jacket slowly. Ryan flinched. His hand moved toward the weapon on his belt. Gasps came from the crowd. "She's reaching!" someone shouted. But the woman didn't panic. She pulled out a black leather wallet, opened it, held it up to his face. The gold badge inside gleamed under the airport lights. FBI. The shift in power. Ryan stared at the badge. His mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. The badge had her photo. Her name, Special Agent Maya Coleman. The people around them fell into complete silence. A woman whispered, "Oh my God, she's FBI." Maya's voice was calm but firm. "Now, you just made a serious mistake, officer." Ryan stepped back. I didn't know," he stuttered. "You didn't ask. You assumed." Two more airport officers arrived. One of them recognized Maya immediately and saluted her. "Agent Coleman, we're sorry. We didn't know you were in the building." She nodded politely, but her eyes didn't leave Ryan. "I was just walking to my gate. Quietly, respectfully, and I was treated like a criminal." Ryan looked pale. "I didn't mean..." "But you did it. You embarrassed yourself. You embarrassed your department." Taken to a room, though she showed her badge, the protocol had changed now. The airport's head of security requested to speak to her. Politely, they led Maya to a private conference room upstairs. No handcuffs, no shouting. This time, it was respect. Maya sat at the table. Her posture was calm, but her eyes showed something deeper. Disappointment. An older officer named Captain Morris came in and closed the door. "Agent Coleman," he began, "let me start by saying how sorry we are." "Officer Ryan, he made a mistake. We'll handle it." Maya looked at him for a moment. I don't need an apology, she said. I need change. Flashback begins. As she sat there, her mind drifted back to years ago. She was 16, standing outside a grocery store. She had been accused of stealing simply because she was holding her school backpack and wearing a hoodie. Police had made her sit on the sidewalk. People walked by and stared. That day, something changed in her. She promised herself, "One day I'll wear the badge, and I'll do it better than them." Back to the present, Captain. Morris offered her coffee. She declined. "I'm not angry," she said. "I'm just tired." Tired. Of what? Of proving I belong. There was a long pause. Captain Morris said quietly, "Would you like us to remove Officer Ryan from duty?" Maya didn't answer immediately. "I don't want revenge. I want responsibility. He should be trained, educated. He should understand the damage he caused today, not just to me, but to every person who looks like me." Captain Morris nodded. "I'll make sure of it." She stood up, adjusted her jacket, and picked up her bag. "Good. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a flight to catch." Outside the room as Maya walked back into the airport, the atmosphere had changed. People stared, but not with suspicion now. With respect. Some smiled, some just stepped aside. She walked past Ryan, who stood at a corner, not daring to speak. She didn't even look at him. She didn't need to. She had already said everything, with her silence, her strength, and her badge. Maya sat on the plane, looking out of the window. The sky was soft blue, clouds floating like slow dreams. But inside her heart, there was a storm. The incident at the airport was over. She had shown her badge. She had walked away with dignity, but deep down, it still hurt. Not because she was questioned, but because it wasn't the first time. And she knew it wouldn't be the last. A familiar pain as the plane took off. Maya closed her eyes. Her mind went back, not just hours, but years. Back to when she was 14, a sunny afternoon in her hometown. She was walking home from school, wearing her blue hoodie and carrying her backpack. Her headphones were in, and she was listening to her favorite music. Suddenly, a police car pulled up next to her. 2 officers stepped out quickly. "Hey, you! Stop right there!" Maya stopped, confused. "What's going on?" she asked. "We got a call. Someone matching your description was seen stealing from a store." "I just came from school," she said. They didn't listen. They made her sit. On the sidewalk, people walked by, some whispered, some stared. She remembered the heat from the concrete, the shame on her face. She hadn't done anything wrong, but that didn't matter. That day, something inside her changed forever. The decision. Later that night, Maya sat at the kitchen table with her mother. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I didn't steal anything," she whispered. Her mother gently wiped her tears. "I know, baby. I believe you." But they didn't. "No, they didn't," her mother said softly. "But you know what?" "What?" "One day you'll wear a badge, too, and you'll show them how it should be done." That's when Maya made a promise. She would never let anyone feel that kind of pain again, if she could stop it. Years later, the FBI journey begins. After high school, Maya worked hard. She studied criminal law. She stayed up late, read every book, every case. People laughed. Some said, "You're too soft for law enforcement." Some said, "You're a black woman. They'll never let you in." She just smiled and kept moving. She applied for the FBI training program at Quantico. It was the hardest thing she had ever done. Running, shooting, tests, interviews, many quit. She didn't. Inside Quantico at the academy, Maya faced new challenges. 1. Instructor doubted her from the beginning. "You're smart," he told her, "but you don't look like an agent." Maya didn't reply. She just trained harder. She stayed late at the shooting range, practiced hand-to-hand combat, studied every rule, every case file. One night, another trainee, a white male, tried to push her during a team exercise. "You think they'll promote you over me?" he said. "They need people like me, not you." Maya looked him in the eye. "No," she said. "They need people who care." Graduation day, Maya stood in a black suit, straight-backed, her FBI badge shining under the lights. She had made it. Some clapped loudly, some clapped softly, but she stood tall. Her mother sat. In the front row, tears in her eyes. Her little brother held a handmade sign. "My sister is an FBI agent." That moment stayed in Maya's heart forever, not because of the applause, but because she had turned pain into purpose. Back to the present. The seatbelt sign dinged. Maya opened her eyes and took a deep breath. The plane was about to land. She looked around. Some passengers smiled at her, some avoided eye contact, and that was okay. She didn't need their approval. She had her mission: to protect, to serve, to fight injustice, even when it was quiet, even when no one noticed. She looked down at her badge, still inside her bag. So small, so silent. But it held stories, not just hers, but of every person who had ever been misjudged. The black car drove quietly through the city streets. Maya sat in the back seat, looking out the window. Washington was cloudy that morning. The air was cold, and so was her heart. She was on her way to the FBI field office. But her thoughts were far, far away, not in this city, not in this moment. They were stuck in a memory that never truly left her. The night. Everything changed. She was just 9 years old. It was a warm summer night. Crickets sang outside. Her father, David Coleman, had just come home from his job at the auto shop. He smelled of oil and hard work. Maya sat on the couch holding a small book. "Daddy, will you read to me?" He smiled, wiped his hands, and sat beside her. Just as he opened the book, loud banging came from the front door. "Bang, bang, bang! Police! Open the door!" Maya froze. Her mother dropped a plate in the kitchen. David stood up, confused. "What's going on?" he asked. He opened the door, and then chaos. Wrong place, wrong name. Police officers stormed in. They shouted. They pushed. They grabbed David and slammed him to the floor. Maya screamed. Her mother cried, "What are you doing?" "He didn't do anything." "He fits the description," one officer barked. "We have to take him in." "No," Maya cried. "He's my dad." David didn't resist, but the shame in his eyes burned deep. He looked at Maya and said softly, "It's going to be okay, baby girl. Be strong." That was the last thing he said before they took him away. The truth comes too late. 2 days later, the truth came out. It was a mistake. The real suspect had the same last name, the same skin color. That's all. David Coleman had done nothing wrong. But no one apologized. No officer came back to explain. No one returned his dignity. Maya remembered watching her father, a strong, proud man, sit silently for days after that. He didn't laugh anymore. He didn't read books at night. Something inside him had broken. And Maya saw it all, the fire inside. That single moment planted a seed in Maya's heart. She didn't have words for it back then. But now she did. Injustice. Profiling. Shame without guilt. Years later, as she sat in her college class on criminal justice, she remembered her father's voice, his silence, his pain. She thought, this can't happen to anyone else's father. Not if I can stop it. So when people asked her, "Why do you want to join the FBI?" she didn't talk about action movies or catching bad guys. She said, "To protect people like my father." The warning from her father. The night before she joined the academy, Maya visited her parents. Her father sat on the porch, sipping sweet tea. She sat next to him. I'm going to Quantico tomorrow, she said. He looked at her for a long time. You sure about this? She nodded. You're walking into a system that doesn't always protect us, he said quietly. Sometimes it crushes people like us. I know, Maya said. That's why I have to be inside it. He smiled, a small, tired smile. Just promise me one thing. What's that? Don't lose your heart. Don't let their fear become yours. She nodded, holding his hand. I won't, Dad. I'll carry yours too. Back to the present. The black car stopped in front of the FBI building. Maya stepped out, badge in hand, heart full of purpose. She adjusted her coat, looked up at the tall building, and whispered under her breath, For you, Dad. Then she walked inside. New assignment, old patterns. Inside the building, she met with her supervisor. Agent Coleman, we've got a new situation. Civil rights complaint. Racial profiling. It's connected to airport security. Maya raised her eyebrows. It sounded familiar. Her supervisor continued. Someone filed a complaint about being stopped without cause. The case is yours. She paused. Where? Eastgate International Airport. She smiled. Just a little. The same place she was humiliated. The same place she showed her badge. Now, she would return. Not as a passenger. But as the investigator, the airport looked the same. Bright lights, long lines, rolling suitcases. But this time, Maya wasn't walking in as a traveler. She was walking in as Special Agent Coleman, here to investigate racial profiling. The irony wasn't lost on her. Just days ago, she had stood in this same terminal. Questioned, embarrassed, doubted, now she carried authority, and questions of her own. The first meeting. She met with the airport director in a glass-walled office overlooking security. Director Henson was polite but tense. We take every complaint. Seriously, Agent Coleman, he said, forcing a smile. But I assure you, this was likely a misunderstanding. Maya didn't smile back. Misunderstandings can be dangerous, especially when they happen again and again. She opened her notebook. I'll need access to all recent incident reports, especially those involving passengers stopped without clear cause. Director Henson nodded, reluctantly. We'll cooperate, of course, but his eyes said something else. This woman is going to be trouble. Watching the cameras, Maya sat in the security room for hours watching footage. Men, women, children, some were stopped, some passed through. But there was a pattern. Black travelers were stopped more often. Brown passengers were questioned longer. White passengers mostly waved through. Her stomach turned. It wasn't just her imagination. It wasn't a one-time event. It was a habit, a silent rule, unspoken, but followed. The officer, she recognized. She paused the screen. There he was, Officer Daniels, the same man who had stopped her. She watched him closely on the recordings. Time and time again, he pulled aside young black men, older black women, passengers in hijabs. Rarely did he stop white passengers, and when he did, he smiled, spoke gently, sent them on their way. But with others, he frowned. Barked questions, searched bags without reason. Maya made notes, her heart heavy. This was bigger than just her case. This was about a broken system. Interviewing the staff, she spoke to other airport workers. Some avoided eye contact. Some said, I don't want to get involved. But one young female officer, Officer Ramirez, finally spoke up. I've seen it too, she whispered. But no one says anything. They say it's just being careful. Maya looked her in the eye. Silence helps no one. If you saw something wrong, now is the time to speak. Ramirez nodded slowly. I'll give you a statement. Maya felt something shift. The wall of silence was cracking. Surprising evidence back at her hotel, Maya opened a file given to her by a quiet IT worker. It wasn't official. It was a secret. An internal chat log between security staff, jokes.comments, and then she saw it. Daniels. Better stop that one. Looks like trouble already. The message was sent before a black teen even entered the checkpoint. Judgment before the facts. Guilt without proof. Maya stared at the screen. She had enough now. Not just suspicion. The morning air was sharp and cold. Maya stood in front of the FBI field office holding a file close to her chest. Inside that file was truth. Truth that could shake careers. Truth that could make enemies. But she knew what she had to do. She had made a promise to her father, to herself, and to every innocent person ever misjudged. If I stay silent, she thought, I become part of the problem. So she took a deep breath and stepped inside. The internal meeting. In the conference room, her supervisor, Agent Keller, waited. Several high-ranking officers were also present. Maya handed them the evidence. They opened the file, flipping through video screenshots, chat logs, officer testimonies. The room went quiet. Very quiet. Finally, Agent Keller spoke. This is serious, Agent Coleman. Yes, sir, Maya replied. If this goes public, the airport will face major backlash. I understand. Keller leaned forward. Are you prepared for what comes next? Maya met his eyes. I didn't come this far to back down now. The pressure begins later that day. Maya got a call from Director Henson. His voice was cold. Agent Coleman, I heard you submitted a report. I did. Do you know how bad this could make us look? It's not about how you look, she said calmly. It's about what you allowed. There was a long pause. Be careful, Agent. Not everyone likes troublemakers. Then he hung up unexpected. Ally that night, Maya sat alone in her hotel room. Her phone buzzed. It was Officer Ramirez. I heard what you did, she said, and I want to thank you. People are scared to speak up, but because of you, they're starting to come forward. Maya smiled slightly. I didn't expect to be liked. You might not be, Ramirez said, but you will be remembered. The call from FBI headquarters. The next morning, Maya was called to join a video. Meeting with FBI headquarters. Senior officials appeared on screen. We've reviewed your case, one said. It's solid and disturbing. Are you prepared to testify if needed? Yes, Maya replied without hesitation. Another agent nodded. Then you'll present it to the Department of Justice and the press. Maya froze for a second. The press? This was bigger than she thought, but deep down, she knew. This was her moment. Facing the media 2 days later, Maya stood in front of a press conference podium. Cameras flashed. Microphones pointed. She wore her FBI suit, her badge pinned perfectly. But her voice, that came from her soul. I was stopped at this very airport without reason. I later found I was not the only one. She held up the report. This is not just about one officer. It's about a culture of fear and assumptions. I speak not just as an agent, but as a daughter, a sister, a citizen. We must do better. The room was silent. And then, applause. Backlash. Begins later. That night, Maya received dozens of messages. Some were supportive, but others were angry. You're making law enforcement look bad. You betrayed your own team. Watch your back. She felt afraid, but she also felt stronger than ever. She wasn't alone anymore. Her truth had reached the world, and the world had started to listen. Maya stood by her hotel window watching. The rain hit the glass. It had been 3 days since her press conference, 3 days since she spoke the truth. And now, the storm had begun. Not the storm outside, but the one inside the airport, inside the newsrooms, inside people's hearts. The airport in chaos at Eastgate International Airport. Things had changed overnight. Officers whispered in corners. Security. Staff walked stiffly, eyes scanning for reporters. Signs appeared in the break room. Support our team. Say no to false accusations. and one sign, taped to a locker, caught everyone's eye. "Trust is broken." Officer Daniels stood near it, arms crossed. "She sold us out," he said coldly. Others nodded. "She wants to be a hero, but she just made our jobs harder." The mood was bitter, angry, divided. Facing the hate back at the FBI office, Maya's inbox filled with messages. Some were kind. "You made me feel seen. Thank you for standing up." But others were cruel. "You're the reason officers can't do their job. You embarrassed your own people." Even some of her colleagues gave her cold looks in the hallway. One agent passed her and muttered, "Enjoy the spotlight while it lasts." It stung, but Maya kept walking. Her footsteps were heavy, but steady. Meeting with Leadership Agent Keller called Maya into his office. He looked tired, frustrated. "You've made a lot of noise," he said. Maya sat straight. "I told the truth. You've also made enemies. Do you know that the airport staff is planning to walk out in protest?" Maya paused. "I didn't come here to create problems. I came here to fix them." Keller leaned back. "Well, congratulations. You did both." There was a moment of silence. Then he said, "Are you still ready to see this through?" She nodded slowly. "I'm ready." Protests. Begin the next day. News cameras gathered outside the airport. Security staff stood outside with signs, "We protect, we don't profile. Don't punish all for one." "We stand with Daniels." Daniels gave a short speech. "We work hard. We follow the rules. This agent is twisting things to fit a story." Some people clapped. Others just watched. Inside her car, Maya saw it all. But she didn't get out. She just whispered to herself, this was never going to be easy. Support from the shadows. That night, Maya sat alone in a small cafe, exhausted. A young woman walked in quietly, looking nervous. She came to Maya's table. "Agent Coleman?" she asked softly. "Yes?" "My name is Sarah. I'm a TSA trainee. I wanted to say thank you." Maya looked at her, surprised. Sarah continued, "People don't see what happens in silence. But I've seen things. I've felt it. You're the first person to say something out loud." Maya smiled. "You're not alone anymore," she said. Sarah nodded. "And neither are you." A letter from the DOJ back at her hotel room. A letter waited on her bed. It was from the Department of Justice. Her report had officially led to a federal investigation. New rules were being discussed. Training programs were being planned. There would be change. It had begun. Maya held the letter in her hands, her eyes soft with emotion. The sun rose slowly over the city. It was quiet, but inside Maya's heart, a storm was building. She had spoken the truth. She had faced hate, and now something was shifting. People were watching. Some were waiting, and some were finally ready to act. The whistleblower, it started with an anonymous email. Subject line, "You need to see this." The message had no name, just a file attached. Maya opened it. It was a recording. Officer Daniels, talking to another officer. "You gotta look at who causes trouble. You know who I mean. It's not old white folks in suits." The other officer laughed. Daniels continued. "Sometimes you don't need a reason. You just need to trust your gut, and my gut tells me who's a threat." Maya froze. This was it. Real proof. Unfiltered. Undeniable. Her hand shook slightly as she closed the laptop. Confronting the truth, Maya met with Agent Keller again. She played him the audio. He said nothing for a long time. Finally, he leaned back and sighed. "I believe Daniels was just doing his job," he said. "But now I see. He was protecting himself, not the people." Maya nodded. "We have to act fast, before this gets buried." Keller looked at her. "You sure you want to go public with this?" Maya answered quietly. "I've come this far." "I can't stop now." The internal break inside. The airport, the mood was different. Tensions were high. But not everyone was on Daniels' side anymore. Officer Ramirez quietly passed Maya a flash drive. "There are others," she said. "3 more officers. They've seen it too. They're ready to speak." Maya took the drive. "You're brave," she said. Ramirez replied, "I learned from you." That night, Maya recorded the interviews. 3 voices, 3 stories, 3 truths. Each one revealed a pattern. Daniels had been targeting people unfairly for years. He even ignored real threats just because they didn't look dangerous. Daniels makes his move. The next morning, Daniels walked into the FBI office, uninvited. He slammed a folder on the desk. "This is harassment," he shouted. "You're trying to ruin me." Maya stood calmly across from him. "We're exposing the truth." "You don't belong here," he hissed. "You're not one of us." Maya's eyes didn't flinch. "I belong wherever justice is needed." Security stepped in. Daniels was asked to leave, but his words hung in the air like poison. Going public again, Maya sat in front of the cameras once more, her face serious, her voice steady. "This is not just about one officer. It's about blind trust and the harm it can cause." She played the recording. The media listened. The internet exploded. People began to share their own stories. Mothers, sons, travelers from all walks of life. Maya had opened a door, and now truth was rushing through. The turning point. 3 days later, the airport made an announcement. Officer Daniels was suspended. A full audit of security practices would begin, and Maya Coleman would be part of the reform team. Some cheered, some stayed, silent. But something had changed. The fear was still there. But now, so was courage. It had been 6 months. 6 months since Maya stood at that airport gate. 6 months since she was called a threat. 6 months since she showed her FBI badge and changed everything. The world hadn't forgotten her story, and now change was finally visible. A new beginning at the airport, Eastgate. International Airport looked the same from the outside. Same walls, same lights, same uniforms, but inside everything was different. New posters lined the halls, equal treatment for all. Every passenger matters. Staff attended regular training sessions, body cameras had been added, and most importantly, profiling had dropped by 60%. The numbers didn't lie. The change was real. Maya's new role, Maya, now worked as a senior policy advisor in the Department of Justice. She traveled from city to city, helping police, airports, and agencies fix what was broken. People listened to her, not because of her title, but because she had lived the story. She had felt the fear, she had faced the hate, and she had still stood tall. A letter from a stranger one. Evening, Maya opened her mailbox and found a handwritten letter. It read, "Dear Agent Coleman, last year my 16-year-old son was pulled out of line at the airport for no reason. He came home scared. This year he passed through smoothly without any problems. Thank you for making that happen. A mother who will never forget you." Maya held the letter to her chest, eyes full of quiet tears. This was why she never gave up. Officer Ramirez's message. Later that night, Maya's phone buzzed. It was a video from Ramirez. The camera showed a new group of airport staff. Young, diverse, nervous, but determined. They were holding up a sign that said, "We stand for justice, thanks to you." Maya smiled deeply. The pain she had faced, the isolation, it had all led to this. Daniels, the final update officer. Daniels had been officially dismissed from the force. He never apologized. He never spoke publicly again. But his story had become a case study in law enforcement training across the country. His downfall had become a lesson, and Maya had become the reason it was taught. Full circle, Maya returned to Eastgate Airport one last time. She wore no badge today. Just jeans, a blazer, and a calm face. She walked past the security check. No one stopped her. No one stared. She passed through like everyone else. For the first time, she felt what others had felt for years. Freedom. Peace. Normal. As she walked through the gate, a little girl pointed at her and whispered to her mom, "That's her, the FBI lady." Maya turned and smiled. "Hi," she said softly. The girl waved. Maya waved back. Then she walked away. Not because she had to hide, but because her mission was complete.